this video, we're going to look at creating a new HTML page from scratch. Essentially, an HTML page works by reading and executing HTML instructions, which decide what to display, how to format what's being displayed, and how to basically style the whole page. Different tags have different effects, but they all follow the same set of rules when they're written. The first rule of HTML tags is that they will always start with an opening bracket like this. This will tell the browser that there's going to be an HTML instruction here. You then write the name of the instruction you want to execute in lowercase letters. If they're not written in lowercase letters, it likely won't work. There are some that do, but most of the tags won't work unless you use strictly lowercase letters. Once you've written the name, you put a closing bracket. Altogether, this creates the opening tag. The opening tag is basically telling the browser to start an instruction at this point, and it will keep going until you tell it to stop. And to tell the browser to stop executing an instruction, you need a closing tag, which will look almost the same, but one difference, and that is there will be a slash at the start of it. The slash has to go at the start or it won't work and it won't stop the instruction. And then you just write the name of the instruction again, and that will stop the HTML instruction. There are some exceptions to this rule because there are some tags that do not have a closing tag. One of these tags is the break tag. It's considered good form with these tags to put the slash at the back of the opening tag. But if you find that confusing, it will still work if you don't. So it's up to you whether you want to or not. The other exception is comments. A comment is a way of leaving yourself notes or helping yourself organize your web page. And it looks like this. Anything that's written within the comment tags, this is the opening tag, this is the closing tag for comments. Anything written between that won't show up on your web page, so it's good for leaving yourselves reminders. One of the features of Notepad++ is that it highlights HTML tags for you so that it's easy to keep track of them. But at the moment it's not doing that because at the moment every file starts as a text file. In order for this file to behave like a website, we have to save it as a website file. And to do that, we go File, Save As. We'll make sure we're saving in our CS100 folder that we made. And we'll name this Testing. When you name a page, you should always use lowercase letters because it will make your life easier. You should never use spaces because spaces will make your life a lot harder. And you must never use symbols because if you put a symbol in, it will break it entirely. So just name it something simple. If you keep the name simple, it's easier to work with in the future. What does matter is that you have the correct file extension. Since we want it to be a web page, we should put the .html file instruction at the back. This tells the computer that you've got an HTML file. You don't want to use capitals here. It must be exactly .html or it doesn't work, and you should never write anything after that or you break it. So testing.html, save. And you'll see that my HTML instructions are now blue, aside from the comment, which is green because it's not actually going to show up on the page. Now we have a list of instructions we think you'll find helpful throughout your assignments, and we're just going to go over a few of those here as an example. So we think about a web page as a person. It can have a head and a body. So at the top, you can have your head tag. I like to close my tags as I open them so that I don't forget to later. The head tag basically contains things that won't actually show up on your web page, and that's really confusing until you see an example, so I'll show you an example. So a tag that you should put in the head tags is title. You might expect the title to actually put a title on your web page, but that's not what it does. The title changes the tab name. So that's what I'll name it. And I'll close it here. So again, this isn't actually going to change anything on my web page because it's in the head tag, it's a title tag, it isn't going to be seen on my page. And to show you what I mean, I'm going to click save. I'm going to find my folder for CS100 and open this page by double clicking. And you can see there's nothing on my page, but the tab name is tab name. So that's what the head tag does and the title tag. Under the head, you'll have a body. And you'll probably want to put the majority of your HTML instructions here. One thing to keep in mind as you start writing your HTML tags is that you gotta be careful not to cross them up. So for example, I don't want to open my body tag before I close my head tag, because like parentheses, if you mismatch your HTML tags, you might get an unpredictable result. So it's important to be careful about where you're opening and closing your tags. Also, indentation isn't required, but it'll definitely help you keep track of where you're opening and closing things if you use it. It just makes it a lot easier to read what you're doing. So a few things you might put in your body tag are titles, like actual headings on your page. And that's done with the header tag H. The header tag works by H and then a number. The number determines how large the font is going to be for that title. So H1 is the biggest title possible because 1 is the biggest number. This will be a large title. You could also use H6. This is as small as it gets for headers, and this would be a very small title. So these two are titles of different sizes. And again, the number just determines what size the title is going to be, not the order the titles go in. So you don't want to go like H2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going down the page because that's going to be changing the size, not the order. The order of everything on your page is determined by what order you actually write it into the notepad. Next, we could maybe have a paragraph tag. Unlike the header tag, there's no numbers to the paragraph tag. Paragraphs will always be the same size. So this will be a paragraph. And if we wanted to just see the difference between these three things, we could again save. We can go back to our page and click the refresh button. Or if we closed it, just double click the testing.html page again to reopen it. And we can see we have the H1, which is a really large title, the H6, which is a really small title, and then the paragraph tag, which is somewhere in the middle.